Just like any other equation, a quadratic equation can have solutions. And a solution is a number that we can replace x with in this equation that will make the equation true. It'll make the left-hand side here equal the right-hand side, which is 0. Now, quadratic equations, they can have no solutions at all. Or maybe they have exactly one solution, or maybe they have exactly two solutions. In fact, these are the only possibilities, for reasons that we'll see later. I wonder how many solutions this quadratic equation has. Solving it is something we'll leave for next time, but at least we can check if a number is a solution. Let's check if x equals 0 is a solution. Let's imagine a world where x equals 0, and we'll figure out what the left-hand side is. If x is 0, then 2x squared minus 5x plus 2. Do you notice that I've copied down the left-hand side exactly, without substituting yet, so then I can replace things on the next line. So if x is 0, this left-hand side will equal, well, the 2 I can copy down. In between the 2 and the x, there's an invisible time sign. Instead of x, well, in this scenario, we're imagining that x is 0. So let's replace x with 0. I'll copy down that squared sign. And then I've got a minus 5, and x is 0. Do you notice something here? Something that I've missed? Over here, it's 5x, which really means 5 times x. You can imagine the invisible time sign. But here I've forgotten the invisible time sign. This looks like 50, but really it means 5 times whatever x is. So let's write that time sign in. And we'll copy down the plus 2. Do you notice that I make sure that I copy everything down? Okay. Now this first term here, we can figure out. We've got everything copied. So on the next line equals, let's figure out where each of these things are. 2 times 0 squared. Well, 0 times 0 is 0, and 2 times that is 0. Minus 5 times 0 is just 0, and then add 2. The answer to that is just 2. So if x is 0, then this left-hand side is 2. But that's not the right-hand side. So therefore, this can't be a solution because it doesn't make the equation true. Okay, well, let's try this next one. This next one is really tricky because it is a fraction, but I wanted to give you something tricky because you can handle it and because then you'll be prepared for anything that maths might throw at you. So let's imagine a world where x is a half and see if that's a solution to this equation. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's find out. Again, we'll copy down the left-hand side here. And we're imagining that x is a half. So let's replace x with a half. Notice that I've got the 2. I've put the invisible time sign in. I've replaced x, with a half. And I've got the squared sign. But this isn't quite right. It looks like just the 1 is being squared. But over here, it says that the whole of x needs to be squared. Not just part of it, not just the top part, but all of x gets squared. X is a fraction here. So to show that the whole fraction gets squared, not just the top, but the whole fraction, we can put it in brackets. Now we can see, oh yeah, it's a half, the whole half gets squared, not just the top. Minus 5 times x is a half, so I can replace x with a half, and then add 2. Now we can figure out each of these terms. The first one, copy down the 2 times, 1 squared and 2 squared. You might remember the index rule where you can put a squared on the top and a squared on the bottom. So this is 1 squared divided by 2 squared, or 1 over 4. Another way of thinking of it is that it is a half times a half, which is a quarter. Over here, we've got 5 times a half. I like to imagine that the 5 is on the top. So you've got 5 times 1, which is 5. And on the bottom, we've just got 2. So if you see a whole number by itself, just imagine that it's on the top of the fraction. 5 times 1 is 5. And the bottom, well, is just 2 there. And then add 2. Whew. We can do the same trick here. There are a few ways to think of this. You can think of it as 2 quarters. Well, obviously that's a half. Or you can do 2 times 1 on the top and leave the 4 on the bottom. We'll just copy down the rest. And then we keep going. You can do this in many different ways. You can simplify this fraction. You can add them as fractions. I find it easier to think in decimals. So 2 divided by 4 is 0.5. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, and then add 2 at the end. I find it easier to think in decimals. So 0.5 take 2.5, you can figure that out, but I'll skip past it. So the left-hand side here, when you figure it all out, if x is a half, ends up being 0. And that's the same as the right-hand side. So we've got it. We've found a solution to the equation. Hooray! So x is a half really is a solution. Doesn't mean it's the only solution though. Maybe there's more than one. Maybe there are two. Let's find out. There's one more value of x for us to test, which is x being 2. I'll skip through this one a little bit. But the answer ends up being 0. So sure enough, this one here is a solution to the equation. And we've found the two solutions to this quadratic equation. Just by looking at it, you don't know how many solutions there'll be. Maybe you just checked a few numbers and you couldn't find any. That doesn't mean that there aren't any at all. Maybe we just couldn't find it. But here you can see that we've found both of them. So that's cool. We found all the solutions that there are to this equation. All right. Well, good luck. Ask me questions and I'll see you next time. Bye.